Hi, my name's Kerry. I'm from River Canal Rescue. I'm going to be doing some training on stern gland alignment and also stern gland repacking. Hope you enjoy it. So the first one I just want to run through is all those basic checks that we do.
Yep.
So first one is on the stern gland, the greaser is there to lubricate the gland.
Yes.
That's all it's there for. That's why at the end of the day, or the beginning of the day cruising, get them to turn the grease.
Yes, not a problem.
The gland itself, the grease is only there to lubricate the gland. However, when the gland's dripping constantly, it's when the gland itself wants adjusting. Yeah?
Yes.
Let's say we have a look at the stern gland after a day's worth of cruising and we get an occasional drip from the gland, then it wants to be between 20 to 30 seconds, an occasional drip. Perfectly normal, carry on turning the grease in.
No problem.
However, if we get in a constant drip, or even a stream, that's when the gland wants adjusting itself. The adjustment itself is, this is the adjusting bit. Obviously we've got two nuts on there. One's our locking nut. I'm just taking those locking nuts off. So if we are doing the adjustment, if we're putting a little bit of adjustment or half adjustment on there, then we want to put the same adjustment on there.
Yeah.
We want to keep, because the brass studs, we want to keep that adjustment. If we have too much pressure on one, they have a tendency to snap it, and then lots of water's coming in. So when you're doing the adjustment, generally what I do before we do adjustment at all is I grab hold of the shaft and feel how free it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So it gives you a gauge with regards to what you're feeling. Then what we'll do, and we'll just do it anyway, before we go into the packing itself. So what we'll do is we'll do half a turn.
90 degrees, roughly.
Obviously you've got the swim in there, so that you're limited on how far you put. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And then I'll do a bit more on there, and then I'll grab hold of this again.
Yep.
Now I can feel that is not as free as when I first spun it.
It's got a bit more resistance.
So there's more resistance. You can also see that it's not dripping. So what I want to do now is it's too tight. If you leave the gland too tight, we create friction. Friction, you get heat. The heat then melts the grease. We lost the lubricant. Then, and I've seen it, worst case scenario, it gets that hot that it actually melts the brass.
Okay.
And I have actually seen that, and this was before we had phones with pictures, but it was like a Salvador Dali picture. You know when you get those clocks and they're all melted?
Yep.
That was literally all melted.
It's a big droop of metal.
And it had welded itself to the stern, to the shaft itself. Game over, new shaft, new boss, new steer, it's got to come out the water. So it's really important that we don't put too much pressure on there that creates heat. So what we want to do is actually take it back. If I've done half a turn on the nut, then I want to take it back a little bit. I'm just taking it off a little bit. However, when you take it off, because you compress the packing, it won't spring back.
No.
So the only way to do that is if you've gone too far on the adjustment, is to knock it off, fire the engine up, pop it into gear, and because the shaft will be turning in the stern gear, that it'll actually get that packing to relax again.
Okay.
Then you'll go shut the engine off, then you'll grab hold of the shaft again and spin it, and I can feel that it's free again now.
Yep.
So then what we'll go back to the adjustment, and we did half a turn before. What we'll do is we'll do a quarter of a turn.
Yep.
I've just done roughly about a quarter of a turn. I'll grab hold of the shaft again. Yeah, that still feels as free. What you are supposed to do is, any adjustment that you do, you're supposed to take it back like an eighth of a turn.
Okay.
And it's just to take the pressure off that packing. But generally for me, grab hold of that shaft, if it still feels as free as when you first spun it, but the dripping stopped,
Fantastic.
adjustment's done.
Superb.
And it's as simple as that. However, a lot of people ask me, when does it want repacking? And that's when you run out of adjustment here.
Yep.
What I do say is when you get down to the last just use my spanner as if you can imagine where this where the boss is there.
Yes.
It's about 10 to 15 mil before it actually touches the boss itself.
Yep.
And that, the reason why I say you stop at that point is you want that 10 or 15 mil left for emergency adjustment.
Yeah.
But once you get down to them, then it wants repacking.
Okay.
As a general rule, I tell people to pay somebody to repack it for you and ask them nicely if you can watch what they're doing. Because once you've seen how it's done, relatively easy. Okay? So let's just say that this packing here, this stern is adjusted up to that 10 or 15 mil.
Yep.
Right, we want to repack it. One of the main things that I would say is preparation before you take the gland apart.
Okay.
So the main one would be is to get your packing and pre-cut it. Can you see that it's nearly there? But you see you've got that gap there.
That frictional gap. Yeah.
But we want to pre-cut it, and generally you'll have 3 bits of this packing inside that gland.
Okay.
And it's good practice to replace them all. We do have it in the waterways where people just say add another bit of packing. The problem with adding another bit of packing is the fact that the old packing then becomes hard and brittle, and the other one that it does is it scores the shaft. And you can see there, and I've seen it before, where literally there's hardly anything left of the shaft. But it's surprising, a lot of people don't understand what it actually does to the shaft, and you can see this step in here.
You can see the big step.
The other one with this step, and depending on how severe this is step, even though you've pre-cut your packing there,
yes,
when it gets to that bit, which should be about there. Now I've purposely offset the shaft so you can actually see that. But you can imagine you pre-cut your packing there, but when it gets to there,
yeah, it's slack.
It's slack. Yeah. So there's two ways of correcting this wear in the shaft. One is replace the shaft.
Yep.
Or the other one is to undo the split half coupling and move the shaft either in or slightly out
To get rid of that.
to reposition that wear there.
Okay.
Generally what you'll have on that repack or on that wear is the customer says, I've had it repacked but it's still leaking, and I've adjusted it up but it's still leaking. It's because the shaft is warm. And there's not a lot. Sometimes you can move the shaft maybe an inch forward or an inch backwards and you can reposition it, but generally if it's that warm you're going to have to replace the shaft.
Okay.
So the next one we're going to do is, obviously there'll be 3 bits of packing in there, so we want to pre-cut 3 bits of packing. I'm just going to go and get some packing so you can have a. Have you cut the packing before?
No, never done anything.
So I'm just going to go and get some packing so we can actually have a go at pre-cutting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll be back in a second. So the ideal way really is to do it with a Stanley knife.
Yeah.
I've got some scissors.
So when you cut the packing, does it need to be, so as you've shown on the previous one, which was this one, we had a couple of mil gap. It was probably so big.
We want it cutting it up. There's 2 ways of cutting it, and that's what's called a butt cut.
Okay.
Or you can do what's called a scarf cut, which is like offset. So you cut it.
Oh, so initially like it's not overlapping, but
I'll just
close.
show you with a pair of scissors, but it's
Bit of a taper.
you got it, yeah.
Okay.
These scissors are rubbish, but yeah, it's that taper. The hard thing about getting that scarf cut is getting that angled cut.
Taper
Yeah.
to match.
So I generally say just go for a butt cut straight off.
Okay.
So I just need to go and get a Stanley knife. But you can imagine when you're wrapping this round like so, you can then get your Stanley knife and do a cut there.
That's it.
It's pretty much that. If the cut has got a gap a bit like that one, then throw it away. Try
Start
again.
That's
You want it to touch.
you oversize it by a mil? Will if you oversize it, will it fit in the stern gland the same as
it will do. So yeah, but as a general, we want to get that so it's nice and
as flush as you can get it.
As flush as you can get it.
Of course.
Now there's two different types. There's two different sizes. There's this 8mm stern gland packing.
Yep.
And there's a 10mm packing.
Okay.
You won't know that till you take the first bit of packing out.
Okay.
So whenever you're doing a stern gland packing, it's always good to carry the 8mm and the 10mm.
Okay, and what's the difference? Why do they do two different sizes? Obviously, I assume it's because of the prop sizes.
Prop sizes and the stern gland sizes itself.
Okay.
But I would say the majority use the 8mm. Now there is two different types of packing. There's one that's a graphite and it's generally black.
Yep.
And you can see that. And then there's a PTFA which is white.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say the majority have this black stuff. So we're going to take the packing out. Just to recap, before we start taking it apart, that we've pre-cut, and there'll be generally 3 bits of this packing that are inside there.
Yep.
So we want 3 pre-cut sizes.
Yes.
We also want to make sure that we've got all the spanners. The main one that I use for getting the old packing out is a screw. And all I'll do is I'll put the screw in there until it grabs, and I'll just show you, and then I can peel it out.
Good lever.
Next one, next one, next one. Okay. The other one that's really important is to make sure that your bilge pump's working.
Okay, yes.
Because once you get this packing out, and what I am going to do, and I might grab Mark as well, is we're going to go into the kitchen and I'm going to show you, because I can't replicate it with this pressurised tank.
Yes.
But what I do want to show you is once you get all those packing out, what kind of flow you're going to get.
That's it.
So once you've got the packing out, you are going to get quite a bit of water coming in.
Yeah.
But once you get that first bit of packing in, it's slowed down to a trickle.
Okay.
Once you get the second bit of packing in, you've almost stopped.
Okay.
I'm just again going to explain about the packing. So the first bit of packing we put in, we're going to put that cut at 12 o'clock.
Okay, yeah.
To the stern gear.
Right at the top.
Right
where
at the
the
top.
greaser initially is meant to be feeding.
Yeah, so right at the top. The second bit of packing, the cut wants to be at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
So it's offset. And the third bit of packing, that wants to be 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So each cut is opposed to the other. They're not all lining up, if that makes sense.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So, let's have a go. Actually,
Thank you very much.
no problem. We'll swap positions.
Okay, so what would you like me to do? Were we dismantling it to extract the old packing?
So we'll take those nuts off.
Okay.
Obviously, we've made sure that the bilge pump is working.
Oh, that's it, yeah, bilge pump's on as we speak.
And I just want to reiterate, before you step in there, before you take it in, you want all of your tools and everything that you need
On standby. Well,
Because
is it worth me now cutting my packing where we stand here before I start dismantling?
Yes. So you want all of your packing pre-cut. It's okay. We're not going to pre-cut those. You've seen the. All I do is I wrap it round and then cut it with a standard knife. Pre-cut them all. But all I just want to reiterate, and this is to you lot as well. Please make sure that you've got all of the tools and all the equipment before you start taking it apart. The last thing you want to do is take all that packing out, and then I don't know. You've
start running around looking.
and then step out the engine room because you've forgotten your spanner. Yeah. So it's really important that you get all of the tools before you start taking it apart. If, however, and I'm just putting this to you all, if you're really worried about the water, there is another solution. And what you can do is take the weed hatch off. Yeah. Get some blue tack or some plasticine, make a long sausage, roll a long sausage, go into the weed hatch behind the back of the boss. You're coming in through the weed hatch, so this is where the propeller would be, and this is the very front of the boss. I've got a bow and end cap there just to replicate the water coming in. But what we do then is with that plasticine, all that blue tack, is that we would wrap that around the shaft where the boss sits. So by wrapping that plasticine or the blue tack around the boss in the water, we would stop any water coming in. Does that make sense?
Acting as a plug, I understand that.
So yeah, all I would say is if you're doing that, please remember once you've repacked it to remove the plasticine or the blue tack.
Yes.
There's another solution that you can use, and that is just a plastic bag. If you haven't got blue tack, or worst case scenario, something's failed with the stern gear, you can literally just wrap a plastic bag through the weed hatch and around there. It won't stop it like the plasticine on blue tack, but at least it will stem the flow.
Restrict the flow.
All I do with the plastic bag is I wrap it around the shaft through the weed hatch, put a simple knot in the plastic bag, and then slide that plastic bag to the end of the box. It will slow the water down considerably. So, next one we're going to do is we're going to start to take that apart. So we'll take these two nuts off, bud.
No problem. Okay, and then we're going to need to pull this out.
Yeah, pull that out, slide that all the way out, then get the screw.
Yep.
Yeah. Put the screw into the first bit of packing, and you'll see when we get that first bit of packing, you can see that the water's starting to come out now.
Yep. There you go, so we've got that bit.
That's it, pull that bit out. You can see the flow of water. Now we'll have the next bit. So the screw, with the screwing into the packing, actually came from Tony Brooks, who used to do our maintenance course, and it was a lovely little tip, was the screw. Rather than trying to get in there with a pick or pick it out, the screw worked for me. I really liked it.
See it. Apart from would have been easier for
a screwdriver. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got something to actually put a bit of pressure on.
Yeah, it only needs a little bit. Should just ease it out. There you go. Now you can see the water's coming in a bit more.
Beautiful. Okay.
Beautiful.
Right, yeah, well at this point we would have already had it pre-cut,
You'd have it
ready to go
pre-cut.
back in.
So again, when you put the packing back in, now you can see that I'm not getting the flow that I would have expected with this little bit of a rig. So what I am going to do is just take you into the kitchen, and I'm going to set the tap to replicate what kind of flow you would get once all the packing comes out. See on the first bit of packing that we take out.
Yep.
So that's about what you'll see on the first bit of packing.
Which isn't so severe.
Not severe. This will be the second bit of packing. Just slow that down a bit. That'll be your second bit of packing.
Okay.
And the third bit of packing will be something like that.
Okay.
So you've got an idea.
That's it. Within a couple of minutes that will be quite a lot of.
And a lot of people go, ooh, but actually once you've done it, even an engineer, their anxiety goes way down. Because what they think when you take all that packing out is you get something like that.
That's what I would have imagined.
Yeah, well you don't, because obviously that shaft is inside there. It's only the gap between the shaft.
Okay.
Now that will vary depending on the boss itself, on how warm that boss is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the expansion.
But at least that gives you an idea of what kind of flow you're going to get once all that packing's out.
Okay.
And that's why I reiterated to you all that it's really important that you get everything in there, because once you've got that last bit of packing out, you've already got that fresh bit that's pre-cut. You pop that in and slide that in.
Within the matter of seconds, you've restricted
restricted it back down. So we'll go back outside and we'll pop that packing back in.
Okay.
Brilliant. Obviously we'd do this before we took it apart.
Of course.
But yeah, it is just a matter of wrapping that round like that.
Matching it up.
Line that up, and then do your cut there.
Okay, not
Yeah.
a problem.
You
Not
okay
a
with
problem at
that?
all. So we want to get it as tight as possible, do we?
As tight as possible, yeah.
No problem. Right, so
Yeah, and then just, if you butt it back up again, Kane,
yeah.
pop it back on,
Just
butt
so
it back
we
up
can
just to
measure it
make
up.
sure that it lines up.
Okay, we'll do it closer to where the stern is, because in case there's a bit of unnecessary
That's beautiful.
wear.
That's a lovely cut.
Fantastic.
That is. Yeah.
There you go.
Now, rather than use it as all our stern packing,
We're just going to use this
we're
one
just
and
going to
then
use that
reuse.
one. So yeah, if you
No problem.
put that cut in, use that
So
screwdriver.
at 12 o'clock
12 o'clock. What I use is just a screwdriver,
to give it a bit of a persuade.
just to. Yeah, can you see that popped out?
I can indeed. So
Yeah.
if I had a screwdriver, I would be able to rectify that.
Yeah. Now, obviously, on this rig, you can see what you're doing.
Yes. Well, not the same when you're in the vessel.
No.
So how far do I need to push this until it
Push it
bottoms
all
out?
the way until it touches the back of the boss.
No problem. And I'm not going to cause any damage pushing against the rope with the screwdriver?
No.
Okay.
No. But obviously, hitting it with an hammer, you probably would.
Yes, you cut through it. We don't want to do that. So that's at 12 o'clock, pushed in right all the way back to the boss.
Yeah, lovely.
So we're going to just reuse these
Use that.
ones.
So the next one would be
This one's going to be at 4
4
o'clock.
o'clock. You got it, yeah.
So that's approximately about there.
And when you're pushing it in, you want to try to just keep it all even so that butt cut stops where it is. Yeah,
That's
you can
it.
see that, can't you?
Yep,
Yeah.
I can see where it's meant to be, but obviously
Yeah.
because it's nice and flush.
And rather than pushing it big, you just go round and slowly push it in until it touches the next bit of packing.
Okay. And how hard do I need to push against the next packing?
You'll
Do I just need to
feel
do it until it
it
stops?
butting up to the other packing, if you know what I mean.
So I
It
don't
won't-
need to apply any unnecessary pressure.
No, it should just slide in there.
Okay. Okay, that's that one.
Now you can also see that by us getting that second bit of packing, we've hardly got any dripping.
That's it. It has definitely minimalised it.
And then obviously the final and third bit
We
of
wanted
packing,
it at 8 o'clock.
we
didn't
want to be at 8 o'clock.
So that's
we should always
about-
oppose the cuts. Lovely.
Okay. Right, yo.
Okay, so
now it's time to-
slide that back on.
Put this little fella back on.
Yeah,
Mounted up nice and tight.
Yeah.
Push my hand.
nuts back on, good. So with new packing, it is going to take a bit of time for it to actually all bed in and all settle down.
Yep.
So when you do your adjustment, you'll just adjust it up again, grabbing the shaft, spin the shaft, adjust. Once we've got it that it's actually, you can feel a little bit of resistance on the shaft, and what we'll do is we'll fire the engine up, we'll pop it into gear, leave it running for a couple of minutes to get all that packing to relax.
Under propulsion.
Under propulsion, back out of gear, shut the engine off, rotate the shaft, back to the adjustment.
No problem. No problem. So right, I'm gonna have a feel of that now.
Have a feel of that now.
I felt the resistance.
Yeah.
I'm happy with the resistance. I've nipped it up to the extent. At this point, let's say we're ready to start the engine and put it under propulsion.
Yeah.
Let's say we've had it under propulsion for a little bit. That resistance there feels nice to me.
Yeah.
So initially, now I've got to back it off a little bit. We'll grease it
Yeah.
and try it again.
Yeah.
But obviously, we don't have the system to do all of that
Yeah.
here on this
What
jig.
I would say is once it's been repacked,
Yep.
you're looking at a good couple of days cruising for that gland to then all settle down, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
And it will probably want a little bit of fine adjustment after
Yeah.
it's been repacked.
That's it. Let's say if we've had 10 hours of sailing, double check your adjustments after that.
Exactly that.
Okay, then no
Yeah.
problem.
And it's as simple as that.
Superb.
Are you happy with that?
I am indeed. So initially all I've got to do now is put the lock nuts against the nuts.
Yeah.
And we're
That's
done.
it, you signed off.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Fantastic. Right, I'll do that now then.
Yeah. Brilliant.